Your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay!
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was so good, like this where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time are best aligned.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's and the Fred Hamptons, the Harriets, the chariots that carry us to various areas that marry us to progress. Yeah, we the harvest, the lovely days and midnight marauders, even through charges and days of darkness. No, we in the hands of the greatest artists. I see it in the waters, I see it in our daughters. They could be bridges that know no borders. For so long, them folk try to ignore us. So we at the ballot boxes to vote for us. Peace to Stacey and the people of Georgia who galvanize so that we can move forward. Steps are ordered with the president.
You are listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent, joining you live in Los Angeles today in afternoon drive time. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure. Also, subscribe to a More Perfect Union podcast. That way, I promise you, you will never miss an episode. At least that's what we aim. You'll never miss an episode. Now, listen, if you haven't already, you may want to mark your calendars for October 25th. Our Left Coast Forum is coming to Los Angeles. Activists throughout Southern California and across the country are going to be gathering right here in LA at LA Trade Tech, located at 400 West Washington Avenue in Los Angeles. We are partnering with a whole gang of folks, including the folks over at LA Progressive, the Partnership for Growth, LA Care, Community Coalition, the Empowerment Congress, the UTLA. We're also partnering with the folks over at St. John's, Community Health, Black Progressive Action Coalition PAC, and the National Lawyers Guild. It's just so many to name, and so many more still coming on board. This is the time for us to convene and to organize. There is a lot at stake, not just this November, but there's a lot at stake across this country, and you don't want to miss this. And so mark your calendar for October 25th. Go to KBLA1580.com. It's KBLA1580.com. Go there to sign up because it's a free event, but you got to sign up. And so go ahead and do that. so we can see you there, doing what we can from where we are with what we have. Amen. Amen. All right. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And kicking us off, NBC News is reporting the government is barreling towards a shutdown as the blame game heats up. The federal government tonight is a little closer, too close for comfort, to a government shutdown, with President Trump and Democratic leaders engaged in a fierce blame game and trading insults about each other online. After his meeting on Monday with Democrats, Trump shared a crude post on Truth Social that showed Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer with a fake AI-generated audio saying that Democrats, quote, have no voters anymore because of our woke trans bull s. And it also said that if they give undocumented immigrants health care, they would vote for his party. The post depicted Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, House Minority Leader, that is, Hakeem Jeffries, wearing a sombrero and a mustache as he stood silently by Schumer's side. Mariachi music played in the background. This is the President of the United States posted this. The video referenced a Trump talking point that Democrats are demanding health care for undocumented immigrants in exchange for the votes to keep the government open. Democrats have called this a lie. They've also pushed to extend expiring Obamacare subsidies and to undo Trump's Medicaid cuts, not to pay for health care for people who are in the country illegally. Schumer responded to the video on X, writing, quotes, if you think your shutdown is a joke, it just proves that what we all know, you can't negotiate, you can only throw tantrums. And so we are only hours away from the government shutting down. We'll see if there are any 11th hour movements that avert a government shutdown. But it's no small test for Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, who are facing a big leadership test. The House and Senate Democratic leaders, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, may be at very different stages in their leadership careers, but both New York Democrats, they have a lot to prove and a lot to lose in this high-stakes government shutdown battle. For the 55-year-old Jeffries, this is his first real shutdown fight since taking the House reins from Nancy Pelosi 2.5 years ago. While he was gearing up for a funding fight in March, Schumer was not on board and ultimately helped Republicans keep the government open. Y'all remember that? Well, now Jeffries, who has sometimes faced internal criticism for being too scripted and cautious, is fully leading into the spending showdown with President Trump and the GOP. This is who we got to watch at this hour. We got to watch Senate Democrats. Senate Democrats. Are they going to give in to Senate Republicans and give them the votes that they need to keep the government open? We got to keep watching them. We got to keep our eye on them in case there's any 11th hour deal. But it really looks like we're barreling towards a shutdown. In other news, as if that's not dramatic enough, Hegseth rails against woke, lays out standards in speech to top generals and admirals. ABC News reporting that in a speech this morning before an auditorium packed with several hundred of the nation's most seasoned military commanders, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called for an end to, quote, woke culture in the military and railed against a litany of complaints such as diversity and probes in hazing. Hegseth called for, quote, no more division, distraction, or gender delusions, and an extraordinarily blunt speech of the importance of the warrior ethos, a term that he uses to describe the spirit that makes combat units effective. I don't know about you, but as I was watching parts of the speech this morning, I couldn't help but think about how this was playing out for service members overseas. service members overseas. I couldn't help but think about how this is playing out for them over there. I couldn't help but think about the whole Make America Great Again. When we first heard that, so many of us were crystal clear that they were looking to turn the clock back. And today, this is just another data point, another point of clarity, if you will, to help us understand that turning the clock back means turning the clock back in terms of the progress that we've made in the military, integration that we've made in the military. That's what's happening. And a little bit later, I'll share with you some insights from Congresswoman Sydney Kamlager-Dove. She did a press roundtable this morning, and I asked her what she thought about the speech. And so a little bit later, I'll tell you what she thought about that and about the real-life impacts of this government shutdown, not just right here in Los Angeles, but across the country. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But in other news, USA Today is reporting that a judge has ruled that Trump's deportation moves against pro-Palestinian students unconstitutional. Federal judges ruled against the Trump administration's efforts to revoke the legal status of pro-Palestinian students and activists, saying top leaders violated their right to free speech. Actions were taken by the Department of State and Homeland Security to, quote, strike fear into other students with similar pro-Palestinian views. That's what the U.S. District Court judge had said. He went on to say that they had the effect of proactively curbing lawful pro-Palestinian speech. The judge also sided with groups representing university faculty, finding that the administration sought to, quote, target non-citizen pro-Palestinians for deportation, primarily on the account of their First Amendment protected political speech. And so some good news for anybody who is pro-free speech, some good news there. Finally, the U.S. citizens are seeking millions in damages after a violent ICE arrest. USA Today also reporting that Rebecca Suthed watched the surveillance video in horror as one immigration agent knocked her 79-year-old U.S. citizen father to the ground inside his car wash business. When he got back up and went outside, two others tackled him to the pavement. An agent can be seen barreling into her father, and she said basically bulldozing down the hallway like a linebacker. Under President Trump's nationwide immigration crackdown, federal agents are on orders to aggressively go after people they believe are in the country illegally. The increasingly violent arrest encounters, they've resulted in multiple multi-million-dollar tort claims by people, including American citizens, who say that they were severely harmed or wrongfully detained during immigrations and customs enforcement operations. And so we know that in this case, this business owner, Mr. Southed, I think I got that right. He's the owner of the Valley Car Wash in Van Nuys, California, not far from here. He has filed a $50 million tort claim just on September 26th against DHS and its component agencies, including ICE, claiming that those agents illegally and unlawfully assaulted and battered him during the operation. So folks are going to be watching this closely to see, what justice, if any, this elderly U.S. citizen will get for being harassed by ICE agents. When we come forward, I'm delighted to welcome our expert panel. Columbia University Assistant Professor of Political Science, Dr. Jonathan Collins, is joining us. We'll also be welcoming back to the show Jamar Reed. He's a seasoned data science and analytics leader with decades of experience guiding organizations to harness data for strategic advantage. I like to say no data, no justice. And there are a lot of stories afoot where we're seeing data manipulated. We're seeing folks personal identifiable information perverted. We're going to talk about that, separate the fact from the fiction when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MAJOR25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MAJOR25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code MAJOR25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate, with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless, for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
Hit me! National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. I'm really delighted to welcome back to the show Mr. Jamar Reed. He is a seasoned data science and analytics leader with decades of experience. He's worked with big brands like General Motors, among so many other spearheading AI and machine learning initiatives. He's the founder of District Analyst LLC, where he empowers executives and entrepreneurs to transform complex data into clear strategies and drive growth and innovation. And then we're also joined with Dr. Jonathan Collins. He is an assistant professor of political science and education at the Teachers College at Columbia University. He's also an assistant professor of political science, and he serves as the executive director of the Center for Educational Equity. Recent promotion. Congratulations, my Morehouse friend, and welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Q. Great to see you.
Yeah. Well, it's great to see you both. Great to have you here. As I mentioned in the opening, you know, I like to say on the show, and to anyone who will hear me, no data, no justice. And, you know, if you really want to control things, if you really want to have your fingerprints on the strategy of the work of so many folks and operations that are afoot, get your hands in the data. And you can control so much. It's a part of the reason why there's always so much hubbub around the census count, for example. That's a fight around data, and that informs redistricting. You all have my drift. I was reading recently that a number of Southern Republican governors they're embracing these AI centers, and they're also pushing back on clean energy subsidies. Many of our leaders, learners, and listeners may not know that recently there was a high-powered panel at the Southern States Energy Board Conference where 3 Republican governors, they touted the explosive potential of artificial intelligence data centers to transform the economies of the Southern South. Jamar, what are they not telling us about these AI data centers and their impact on our communities?
Yeah, Doc, the thing I think about, the question I'm going to always ask is who's going to benefit? So who's reaping the benefit, and then who's going to pay the cost? And I think that's the question that we're seeing organizations out of our community start to ask, start to push back, start to challenge. Yes, we understand that someone's going to benefit, but we want to make sure that we're not paying the cost and it's not evening out. So I think as we read the news, as we look at the conversations that are happening, these questions are being asked. We need to make sure that we're holding folks accountable and making sure that those questions are being answered. So that's what I think about as I see, someone's in line to benefit, and I just want to make sure that our community is not, bearing the cost.
Yeah. And Dr. Collins, this discussion that was had by this panel, which included Republican governors Tate Reeves of Mississippi, Brian Kemp of Georgia, and Mike Kehoe of Missouri, they all advocated against federal or state subsidies for clean energy. What are they up to if they're advocating against these sort of clean energy subsidies, but essentially pushing this idea that these AI data centers are going to be delivering a whole lot of revenue to these local communities? What are we missing? What are they not telling us?
Yeah, I think akin to my colleague Jamar here, what he's saying is spot on, which is that who's going to pay the cost? My Southern folks, it's going to be you. It's going to be you. What's happening here is, so to power ChatGPT and these other LLMs, language learning models, artificial intelligence tools, they require a ton of energy, significantly more energy than it costs for you to just operate your normal computer. And as a result, companies have had to build these data centers. And where are these data centers located, Dr. Q? They're in blue states and usually connected to urban cities. Now, we're starting to see a few of these data centers be located in red states, but these red state governors, these members of Congress in these red states who are so against these subsidies, a part of why they're against these subsidies is because the AI data centers are not in their districts. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, right, the places where these data centers are located, they not only are they draining energy, they're also consuming gallons and gallons of water. Dr. Q, the 30 data centers, AI data centers in the Phoenix area are consuming alone 177 gallons of water. And that's just one location, right? This is going to lead to huge energy costs, water costs, power costs that are going to be offloaded onto the taxpayers. And so as we start to see more of these data centers in Memphis, Tennessee, which has become a big area where we saw Elon Musk dump a data center right in the heart of a Black community, right? It's going to be the Black Memphians. It's going to be Black Southerners. It's going to be Black folks in these red states, but blue cities who are going to be paying the cost.
And speaking of paying the cost, I want to give folks a real example they can sink their teeth into. We know that the University of Alabama earlier this year, they announced that they were going to be spending up to $100 million on a data center for AI needs, including a Bama GPT for students. And then Governor Kemp of Georgia, who vetoed a 2-year pause on sales tax breaks for data centers last year, said that he believes the investment by states and its focus on AI is worth it. The governor noted that a conversation he had with a county official in Georgia who said he believes that the development of a data center has the potential to, quote, bring so much revenue, and it could, quote, wipe out the property taxes for the entire community. This feels a little bit like snake oil, like somebody selling some snake oil. It seems to me that everyday people, taxpayers, are going to be left holding the bag. These data centers, are going up, and to me, the whatever revenue that they bring in, there aren't many examples of existing data centers that are bringing in enough revenue that essentially offsets the amount of revenue these cities are getting in property taxes. Is this a snake oil sale, Jamar?
You know what? As you were saying that, I was thinking about the fact that oftentimes there comes a promise of new jobs, but then we think about these data centers, going back to the fact that is it going to offset the damage that comes in and the cost to the environment and to the community. I'm with you, Dr. Q, that I think there is a potential for some snake oil to be in there. And I think that we need to be focused on, again, getting back to making sure that we're asking the right questions and then holding folks accountable for answering those questions around these data centers. Yep.
Absolutely. When we come forward, we got a little bit of breaking news. Number of sources are reporting that Democrats have voted down a GOP funding bill, putting the government on the path to a shutdown. Senate Democrats, a lot of folks were unsure where Senate Democrats were going to land because, last time in the 11th hour, they voted to keep the government open. Well, it doesn't look like that's happening this go round. Senate Democrats have voted down a Republican bill to keep funding the government, putting it on a near certain path to a shutdown after midnight Wednesday for the first time in almost 7 years. The 55-45 vote today on the bill to extend the federal funding for 7 weeks. It fell short of the 60 needed to end the filibuster and pass the legislation. When we come forward, we're going to talk about the real impacts of this decision, of this vote, of this government shutdown. There's going to be a little bit of pain for a lot of folks. We're going to talk about that more when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening, thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. It's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Misty Jordan with BIN News Now. Democrats are pushing back on claims from the GOP that they want health care for illegal immigrants in exchange for their votes to keep the government open.
The law already says no illegal can get any sort of Obamacare or health care.
Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar says that law has been in place since the Clinton administration. U.S. airlines are warning Congress that if the government shuts down at midnight Wednesday, flights could be delayed as air traffic controllers and TSA employees would be required to work without pay. And Delta Airlines and shapewear brand Spanx are joining forces to design a collection of travel wear. The Delta clothing line debut comes as the company tries to market itself as a lifestyle brand, not just an airline. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Downtown Los Angeles, they've cleared a stall from the 110 northbound at the 10. Left things stop and go from Vernon Avenue. However, on the 10 freeway, Santa Monica Freeway eastbound to National, disabled vehicle in the center divider, and things are slow way back into Santa Monica. It's probably adding about half an hour to your drive this afternoon. In Hawthorne on the 105 eastbound, the off-ramp to Crenshaw, there's a crash on the off-ramp.
The stage is set for MLB's postseason.
How good was that?
October hits different. Watch baseball at its finest. Postseason 2025. Major League Baseball. Trademarks used with permission.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers kick off their quest for a back-to-back World Series championship tonight at Dodger Stadium against the Cincinnati Reds. Game 1 in the best-of-5 first-round series jumps off at 6. Live coverage on ESPN. Cincinnati's starting pitcher tonight is Hunter Green, a young brother who grew up in L.A. The 25-year-old Green is in his 4th season with Cincinnati. The Reds selected Green with the number 2 overall pick in the 2017 Major League Baseball draft. The 6'5" right-hander was a marquee player at Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks. In April of 2017, Green was featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated after one of his fastballs was clocked at 102 miles per hour. Green is a product of Major League Baseball's Urban Youth Academy in Compton. Should be an interesting matchup tonight between Green and the Dodgers. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay!
When you turn to the Employment Development Department, we'll help you get there. Whether it's support for you and your family while you find a new job, or the resources to focus on your recovery after illness or injury, we can help you move forward. From support while you bond with your newborn, to helping serve your family while your partner serves our country. Your EDD. We'll help you get there. For more information, visit edd.ca.gov.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, a time to shine a light on a public health crisis that hits Black families hardest. 1 in 5 Black adults ages 70 and older is living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD, and it's not a normal part of aging. Early signs like repeating questions, missed appointments, even trouble handling bills might seem small, but they matter. The good news? There are treatment options available that may slow AD when diagnosed early. Don't wait. Visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com to learn more. This message is brought to you by AZI.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. I'm sorry about that. I hope you all weren't sitting there looking at me, looking at you too long. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm always delighted to be in conversation with some extraordinary brain power. Call him the Brain Trust. I'm talking about Jamar Reed. He's the managing partner and founder of District Analyst. And then also we have Jonathan Collins, Dr. Jonathan Collins. He's an assistant professor over at Columbia University and a frequent contributor here on A More Perfect Union. Before the break, we were talking about the government shutdown, and it looks like it's going to happen. And this is ordinarily, this is nothing to celebrate. It's nothing to celebrate. This is going to create a lot of pain for a lot of people that do business with one of the biggest employers in the country, one of the biggest employers in the world, the United States government. But some might say this is a righteous fight that the Democrats are engaged in, really finally drawing a red line and really saying they're going to shut down the government if Republicans and if this president, does not support the healthcare needs of our fellow Americans. We're talking about continuing those Obamacare subsidies that are helping to keep costs more manageable. We're also talking about the billions of dollars that were cut from Medicaid and Medicare. Democrats trying to claw that back and get that funding restored. Dr. Collins, what say you? Is this a righteous fight on the part of the Democrats?
Absolutely. And it's because the fight is centering, around access to healthcare. And, we can poo-poo the federal government all we want. We can have our criticisms. One area where federal investment has made a major difference, Dr. Q, it's been in healthcare access. Through the Affordable Care Act, we've seen the percentage of uninsured Americans under 65 drop from 25% down to 17% in about a decade. This is huge, right? And this starts with the federal government making a sizable and meaningful investment in making access to healthcare in reach. And what's happening right now is the conversation around this government shutdown is Democrats taking a stand, putting a foot on the table and saying, look, we are not going to allow you to make incredibly important cuts to one area where we've made arguably the most progress as policymakers in this country over the last decade. And so, you hate to see the government shut down, but there's real progress at stake.
Yeah, there is. And there's also, a real impact to our economy. The New York Times published a piece recently saying that government shutdown could delay economic data at a very, very, very critical moment. The monthly jobs report on Friday, it's expected to provide crucial evidence to economists and policymakers and investors who are trying to determine whether a slowdown in hiring over the summer continued into the fall and whether deeper cracks are forming in the foundation of the U.S. labor market. Jamar, give us a sense of the downside of this government shutdown, particularly for investors, for job creators. Is this throwing a monkey wrench in the quest to lead the AI revolution, for example, here in the United States? If this government shutdown does indeed happen, and if it lasts as nearly as long as the last one, which was 34 days.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm going to say, I agree with Dr. Collins, right off the bat. But I'm also going to take it back into the, oftentimes you'll hear leaders that are making decisions say, hey, without the data, I'm flying blind. I'm making decisions not based off of facts and data. I'm making decisions based off of, gut feel. And that's not something we want to happen with regard to our economy. And as folks are, not only folks in the business sector, but then also the policymakers, they're making decisions without that valuable data coming in, empowering them to make decisions that on our behalf. In addition to, I also want to say that Sorry, I lost my point there, but yeah, that's the big thing is that, I mean, we're flying with those that are making decisions are flying blind. It's not a good place for us to be with regard to as we're moving through this economy. We want to make sure that information is flowing. And then the other thing that I worry about also is that, in the dark, folks make in the dark. We're not able to hold folks accountable in our government as well. That information may be delayed, and that's something that I worry about as well. Being 3 months behind and finding out that things in our government were decisions were being made, and we're not able to track and hold accountable as well. So,
yeah, I mean, this is. Some people say this is what folks voted for. Elections have consequences, right? And it's all fun and games until it comes time to govern, right? And one of the things that a lot of businesses, big businesses, small businesses are oftentimes looking for is some kind of certainty in the marketplace. Because when they make decisions, they're not making decisions week to week. They're making decisions quarter by quarter, year by year, right? Multiple years at a time. And so, Dr. Collins, in our remaining minutes, I want to ask you, how do Republicans disentangle themselves from this mess? We know that Republicans control the House, they control the Senate, they control the White House. If they wanted to end this government shutdown before it starts, they could do that. If they wanted to end it tomorrow, they could do that. How do House and Senate Republicans, how do they disentangle themselves? How do they get out of this mess? And is there any way in which Democrats can help them save face in the process?
Well, they need a little bit of compromise, but they're still in the catbird seat. This is, if you're Republican legislators right now, you're sitting back and, you have the ability to apply pressure. And you can tell just by the framing of the negotiation. Usually in these government shutdown debates, they're fighting over, and granted, when you're talking about the budget, you're talking about out of the entire $7 trillion budget, so the $7 billion budget, you're talking about only 1.7 of that, actually being discretionary. And so you're already only talking about a sliver, but the Republicans are in the driver's seat. And unfortunately for us, we're stuck with a pretty petty and pretty small negotiation room. And if anything, this is the moment where Democrats have to show what the future of leadership for the Democratic Party will look like. They continue to lose on pivotal moments on the national stage. This is the time, headed into the midterm elections, gain some momentum, show that there's force, because we haven't seen it quite yet.
When we come forward, it's time for the quiet part out loud. Dr. Collins will be leaving us to take flight, literally. But Jamar Reed's going to stick around. I'll share with you what Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager-Dove of Los Angeles, what she shared with me earlier today related to the government shutdown and the real-life, real-time impact this will have on the people of Los Angeles and beyond. And I also want to give Jamar a chance to share with us what advice he's giving to the executives and entrepreneurs he works with as the U.S. government prepares to shut down in just hours. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Clinical research drives medical progress and gives patients access to potentially cutting-edge treatments like CAR T cell therapy, a breakthrough for certain blood cancers that is also being explored for other cancers. To ensure therapies like CAR T benefit everyone, research must include participants from all backgrounds. Historically, Black African Americans have been underrepresented in clinical trials. By participating, you help make treatments more inclusive, equitable, and effective for yourself and future generations. Talk to your doctor about CAR T cell therapy and how you can potentially get involved in clinical research. This message was brought to you by Kite, a Gilead company.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and delighted to have with us today Jamar Reed. He is joining us and helping to separate the fact from the fiction. Again, I always like to say, no data, no justice. And there's a lot of funky stuff that is happening with data today. You better believe this government shutdown is going to slow down, certainly, the output of the kind of actionable data that business leaders need in order to make business decisions. And in just a moment, I'm going to ask Jamar, who's the founder of District Analyst LLC, which empowers executives and entrepreneurs to transform complex data into clear strategies that drive growth and innovation. I'm going to invite him to share with us just a little bit of what he's sharing with some of the business leaders that he works with. But first, I want to share with you what Representative Sidney Kamlager-Dove shared with me this morning during a press call. There are a number of folks who've been on high alert, knowing that it was quite possible that a government shutdown would occur. We are just hours away, East Coast time, hours away from the government officially shutting down. But there are a few things she shared with me that I definitely want to share with each and every one of you. And she reminded us that Republicans have the gavel and they have the votes to keep government open. So this idea that, the Democrats are doing it, not true. It's the Republicans that control the House and the Senate and the White House. She had shared with us a readout of what House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, what he had shared with members of the Congressional Black Caucus and the Democratic Caucus following his meeting with President Trump, saying that it seemed as if the president hadn't heard certain information before about some of the impacts of folks' health care that was pending. specifically the fact that community clinics and hospitals will be negatively impacted by these cuts to healthcare if they are allowed to continue. Pregnant moms who depend on WIC assistance, that WIC is not going to be reliable for pregnant moms. And so, she walked through a number of constituencies that will be impacted by this, including neighboring hospitals that, private hospitals that may stay open. Well, guess what? When, hospitals that depend on this government funding, when they're not getting those funds, it's the other hospitals that have to absorb the shock. That also means that they absorb the debt from patients who cannot pay. And so that's another important impact that we want to highlight. And I'd asked her about those Obama healthcare subsidies, and she had shared with me that Republicans have found a way to roll back Obamacare. This is their way of doing it quietly. Republicans know that healthcare is not a winning issue for them. And so this is their way of sort of quietly rolling back Obamacare, quietly making it more expensive, quietly inflicting pain on consumers who rely on it. Right here in California, she shared that over 32,000 Californians will lose access. 4,000 federal workers will be furloughed right here in California. 22,000 folks in her district will lose access to their health care. And, there's a lot of talk about the military today. Over 200,000 military folks in California will work without pay. The military folks. The Small Business Administration, guess what? They're going to start processing something like $4 billion in loans to California businesses alone. And don't think that the folks in the agriculture industry aren't impacted. $77 million in ag money will stop flowing into California because of this government shutdown. 58,000 people will lose health care because of this. And this is the number that really blew me away. In Sidney Kamlager-Dove's congressional district here in Los Angeles of about 700,000 folks, 400,000 of her constituents are on Medicaid or Medicare. They could be impacted. And so I asked her, okay, got it. What are members of the Congressional Black Caucus? What are members of the Democratic Caucus? What are they prepared to do? And she talked about how they're prepared to campaign in neighboring red districts, in neighboring Republican districts, so that those constituents are aware of how they're being impacted by these healthcare cuts that the Congressional Black Caucus is fighting to protect. And so in our remaining minutes, Jamar, I want to invite you to share from a business strategy perspective. What are you sharing with some of the executives that you work closely with as everyone is bracing to navigate an environment where this government may very well shut down after midnight?
Yeah. So, Dr. Quartey, first of all, I want to say that I'm sitting there listening to the stats that you were, sharing with us, and it's heartbreaking. So before speaking to the business, speaking to the human and the people on the, that are listening in, I mean, it's heartbreaking to listen. And that goes to the point that we were covering on the other side of the break. When we go into these shutdowns, oftentimes we start to fly, in the dark. Data stops flowing. The information that you were sharing with us becomes difficult to get a hold of, and it creates those gaps. Those are the things I fear during these times when we go dark, when data stops flowing during shutdowns like this. Reports stop being created, and accountability stops or pauses. Concerning the businesses, what I tell the folks that I support, the stakeholders that I am consulting with, and the small businesses that I'm working with, is that in many cases we've been preparing for this by collecting data and creating those forecasts using that historical data, and then also making contingency plans. And that's one thing that I learned while working with some of these large organizations. One thing about it, they have a contingency plan for everything, and they're using data to create those plans. And I think that's something that, and I know that that's something that, that flows into the small businesses as we start to gain access to information, gain access to data and AI, using these tools to better prepare for the difficult times that it sounds like we're going to be going into as a result to the shutdown. So,
Jamar, one of the things that we heard the president say on January 20th when he was sworn into office, and I might remind folks, this is a president who a number of folks elected because they said that they believe that he was the right one to help bring costs down. And what we're finding is that costs are up. Healthcare costs are up. Unemployment numbers are up. And folks aren't feeling the relief that they thought they were voting for. But one of the things that President Trump mentioned during his inaugural address, he talked about bringing about this golden age of America. This golden age of America. He talked about, ushering in an era where we would, lead the world in artificial intelligence and a host of other future-facing industries. How much does this government shutdown create a drag on, the best case scenario where the United States is leading the world when it comes to, the advent of AI and other forms of innovation?
Right. Yeah. So first of all, just, hammering on that point that when things go dark, and especially when dealing with the president that's willing to manipulate information, manipulate data in order when it's not flowing in the direction that, that he'd like for it to go. Those are the times I start to ask, we should start to ask those questions. And then in the other case, this does nothing but set us back. I mean, a lot of these programs that are meant to advance us, they're government funded. These are large funding projects that are being paused or canceled. So I think it doesn't help. Yeah.
It doesn't help, but talking to you sure does help. Our thanks to Jamar Reed. He is a seasoned data science and analytics leader, and he is just a gem to be in conversation with. We expect to have Jamar back with us again very soon. Again, helping us separate the fact from the fiction. Again, no data, no justice, and we've got to make sure that we're looking beyond the surface when it comes to the cold, hard numbers. Numbers don't lie. People do. Some people might say elected officials do. I'll leave it there. Our thanks to Jamar Reed for joining us. More in our next hour on A More Perfect Union with my high school best friend, Jazz Summers. He's going to be joining us to talk about his writing and directorial debut. The movie's called Stay, and it debuts on Hulu on October 8th. You don't want to miss our conversation. Thank you for listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Misty Jordan with BIN News. Now, a direct-to-consumer drug buying website called TrumpRx has been unveiled by President Trump.
Pharmaceutical companies make 75% of their profits from the United States.
With TrumpRx, Americans will be able to purchase certain drugs